This is Blessed Radio. It's Tuesday evening and it's 6 p.m. UK time. This is the spiritual discussion program, and the aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Uprushin. And I'm Saad in Southeast. The weather and with me will be Gregory soon, joining me soon. I'm the host of the show. As I say, I'm in Southeast London. The weather here right now is overcast. It's been quite hot today and sunny, but right now it's a bit overcast. And as I'm hoping Gregory will be joining us soon. As I said, the aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Uprushin. And every week we have a new topic for discussion. The topic tonight is the cosmic clock is close to the hour of 12. The cosmic clock is close to the hour of 12. You are welcome to join us with any questions or comments. And you can contact us by contacting us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's another way you can contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting, that is blessradio1, that's the number 1.com. And if you scroll down on the home page, you'll see a chat box called Bless Chat. There you can type in any questions or comments. I'm going to begin with, what is the Grail Message? The Grail Message in the Light of Truth by Uprushin is a spiritual knowledge of life. It offers an explanation of the world, a picture of creation on the basis of natural laws. Its lectures contain valuable basic elements as a help in life. For through the knowledge mediated, the readers again brought closer to life and led back to God. The Grail Message deals with important fundamental questions of life by explaining in a clear and logical way the automatic working of the laws of nature, the whole weaving of creation, allowing every process to be recognized, and thereby the purpose of our whole life. It is directed at the individual and speaks to the innate experiences of the human being, their strengths and weaknesses. Thus, every reader has the opportunity to discover through the intuitive perception if what is stated is the truth. Combining with matter-of-fact reasoning, a complete world picture arises, where there is no separation between the visible world and the great world beyond the five senses, nor any separation between scientific and religious striving for knowledge. I'd like to give you a couple of quotes from the author of the Grail Message, Uprushin. The hearer and reader of my lectures should always work within himself, keenly probing and building bridges from one lecture to the other, as well as out into the great and small world happenings. Only then will he be able to understand the Grail Message and find that it gradually shapes itself into one complete whole, without leaving any gaps. Again and again, in all the happenings, the reader will come back to the basic features. He can explain everything. Apologies, I've lost my place. He can explain everything without having to change even one single sentence. The word of the Grail message lives, so that it permits only those people who really carry the honest desire in their souls to find abundantly. All else is automatically rejected by it. For the arrogant and those who seek superficially, the message will remain the book with seven seals. And I'd like to give you one more quote from the author. I wish to fill the gaps which have so far always remained unanswered in the souls of men, and which never leave any serious thinker in peace if he earnestly seeks for the truth. I'm just going to check if Gregory is now available so that he can join our show. I'm the host, Saad, and I ask the questions to my colleague Gregory on this topic. So I will just remind you, the topic for discussion tonight is the cosmic clock is close to the hour of 12. The cosmic clock is close to the hour of 12. If you have any questions or comments, you can contact us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's one other way to contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting, that is blessradio1, that's the number one.com. If you scroll down on the home page, you'll see a chat box called Bless Chat. You can type in any questions or comments there. So at the moment, I don't have Gregory still with us, but I will continue with just myself. I always like to look up the meaning of the topic in the dictionary. So just to remind us, everybody, the topic for tonight is the cosmic clock is close to the hour of 12. The cosmic clock is close to the hour of 12. So the first word there, or keyword, is cosmic. And I found two meanings there for the word cosmic. The first one, it says of or relating to the cosmos, the extraterrestrial vastness of the universe in contrast to the earth alone. So what do I like to say about this word cosmic? Well, I would say yes, it is relating to the universe, which is of course greater than the Earth and the solar system that we are in. It could be taken as something beyond the, you could say, the physical universe that we are aware of as well, because there is a world beyond the physical universe. And it's possible to think of that as a cosmos, as part of the cosmos. But however, we will stick in our discussion, we will consider the cosmos to be the physical world of this universe. Well, I'll call it the physical world. There is, and this, if I were to say, the world of gross matter, that's another way to put it. That is the same as saying physical matter. So And yet, physical matter is not the only matter. And so this might be a little bit confusing for people. So physical universe is what we can see with our physical eyes, you could say, or physical senses, the five senses that we are given. But there's more than that that actually exists. Now let's look at the second meaning of the word, for another definition for cosmos, or cosmic, sorry. There it says, again in the dictionary, a second meaning, of or relating to, concerned with abstract, spiritual, or metaphysical. Perceive the intended meaning of words, language, or a speaker. So yes, here we go. This is what I was saying. Cosmos can be beyond the physical, and here we have an example of they're saying spiritual or abstract. And as according to the words of the speaker, well, I'm the speaker at the moment, so I want to say here we are going to focus on, when we talk, to use the word cosmos, to be the physical universe, or gross material, as it is also said in the Grail Message. Now, the second word, it's given here, is the keyword clock. And again, in the dictionary, it's giving its meaning, which means, I will just read it out. It says, a mechanical or electrical device for measuring time, indicating hours, minutes, and sometimes seconds by hands on a round dial or by displayed figures. So, of course, this is the clock, the earthly clock that we use here on this earth, which is obviously hours, minutes, and seconds. But here in our topic, so with this topic is the cosmic clock. So of course, the cosmos is more than just simply the earthly time. So we're talking about the cosmic clock. But everything can be looked at as a metaphor. And here we can see we're talking about the cosmic clock, so it's not the earthly one. And the time, as we know, there's also, we have light, speed of light, which is light speed, you can call it. What happens, there in that time, light speed is much quicker than in traveling than what the earth time we are used to. So anyway, we're referring to the cosmic clock in our discussion for tonight. So take it as a metaphor for at the moment, but because the cosmos is physical, it must also be a physical clock in that sense. And then we say, another key word, the topic again is the cosmic clock is close to the hour of 12. So this hour of 12, what does it mean? Now, we know on the earthly time, we have 12 midday or 12 midnight. So that's between the division, well, it's similar to saying division between day and night. Or another way to put it is a period of time. But when we reach 12 midday, the time doesn't end there, it carries on. And then we reach 12 midnight, and again it carries on. And then we have a new day. So what do we mean when we refer to the cosmic clock is close to the hour of 12? Is it something, in a sense, it sounds like a danger time. Reaching the 12 o'clock is like the end. And that's actually what we mean here. The end doesn't mean the end of the world, end of the universe. It continues. So again, there's an end, but also a beginning. So exactly like the earthly clock, you can see that. The time does not end when it reaches 12 p.m. or 12 a.m. So you can see, in a way, there's a cycle, exactly like day and night. Okay, so cosmic clock of 12, it means we are approaching something in this universe of some significance, of course. So all this we will discover in well, the simplest way I can put it is an end of an era and a beginning of a new era, because as one ends, a new one begins. So that's what we can think of as a cosmic clock. Now, in that, those words are quite neutral. Only our own perceptions, we can say there's a danger or it's end of something significant and beginning of something else significant. This is what we attribute to these words. And we would be right to do that. Just the right thing is what, or the proper understanding would be what exactly is this ending and what is this new beginning. Now, okay, let's look at the world of today that we are living in on this earth. We are having climate change, and even catastrophes are expected if we do not make changes in our lifestyle and how we use resources, and change our ways. You can say that's, you could say, in our earthly behavior. So that is, but that's only on the earth, and we're talking about the cosmic clock. So maybe there is some link with what's happening on the earth with the whole universe, because this cosmic clock is applying to the whole universe, whole physical universe. So maybe something's going to also happen with the physical universe. And of course, there's an implication. We are saying the cosmic clock is close to the hour of 12. So we are living in this time where the hour of 12 is very, very near. So again, we're thinking about the earthly things. Climate change is one thing. The other one is potentially there's third world war or human disasters, where we are not able to live in peace with each other, fellow human beings. There's always a fear of war breaking out, and somehow we are always on the brink of it and not stepping over it to the, it just seems total disaster if that happens. So again, there's a thinking around that, or a sensing about there's this 12th hour. I think Gregory is now available. I'm going to put him. Gregory, are you now online?
Yes, I've been in.
Oh, brilliant. Very good. I've been going through our usual ways of going through the words of the topic tonight, which is the cosmic clock is close to the hour of 12. And I've given my own response to the meanings of these words. So maybe I'll catch you up with that now. And then I continued after that with what just what people might be thinking. What is this, the cosmic clock being close to the hour of 12, what that might mean. So very briefly, I'll as I catch you up. So the cosmic, the meaning of cosmic, I consider that to be the physical universe. Although it could be also considered to be beyond things outside of this cosmic physical universe. So I took it to be that. And that's what we're referring to when we're talking about the cosmic clock, is the universe of this physical universe, which also in the Grail Message, Gregory, and we refer it to many times in our discussions as the gross material world. So did you want to say anything to that in that response?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Yeah. Well, thanks for patience. when it is said the cosmic time or the cosmic clock, whenever the word expression clock is mentioned, we have a picture. And when it's close to the hour of 12, that point 12 is the same thing as the starting point. It's as if it's gone around and it's come back. And in most of our discussions, we've always talked about that of reciprocal activities. So it's as if there's a return to the beginning, the end flowing back to the beginning. That is the direct picture one picks up. In creation, or basically in nature, and particularly in these parts of creation, or so-called in the world of matter, in this particular part, there are schemes, or there are areas that are matured enough to go back, to flow back to the beginning. And you will have that whenever the end is flowing back to the beginning, it must be what one may refer to as harvest time. So basically, it's pointing to harvest time for the human spirits who are in this path that have been granted the opportunity to experience, to grow with all the talents which have been sown into it. That means the time is ripe for harvest. What have you made of the time which has been granted to you? Now you have to give account, because this part of the world is ripe for harvest. There are many consequences that arise from all this. It is these consequences that most likely will be discussed in this session.
Thank you so much, Gregory, for this, I would say, picture that you have painted, the context you're providing for that. I had been focusing, in fact, you could say I was really leading up to what you have brought the whole thing, whole subject into the sort of direct focus, and I was more giving the definitions of these words. So is good now that you have given that whole context of specifically about us human beings, the time we are living in, and this time of harvest which you are pointing to. So this is this meaning of the hour of 12 here. It actually, let me ask you something, Gregory. There's something, I was talking about the clock, this 12 o'clock, you can say. It can be midday, it can be midnight, so it keeps returning. It's not like the end, as some people might think of the cosmic clock coming to 12 as the end, and meaning the end of the world, let's say, or end of the universe, however you want to make that meaning. But you have put this picture of harvest, so which is, let's say, different, context again. So what I want to ask there from that, Gregory, with this time of harvest, it means there will be, let's say, some will, as you say, it's a ripening. So some people will, in quotes, bear fruit from this harvest. Others will, let's say, rot. Maybe that's the way to look at it. As human beings, we're talking about human beings here. So now, is that all happening on the earth, Gregory? We're talking about this harvest. Because when we talked about the cosmos or cosmic, I thought of it of the physical world. So is this only happening in the physical world, this harvest?
Well, the earth is part of the so-called physical world or the world of matter. There are various gradations where human personalities or human spirits were sown, the different areas within the world of matter, having different densities and slightly different constitutions, in which the human personality needed to mature over a given time. So it does not, as such, point only to the earth. The earth definitely is one of them, but there are others. Actually, in biblical writings, you will find that um, there were in the Revelations letters written to different places, basically in the world of matter. The world of matter is temporal and it's huge. When it says huge, it's cosmic. And when something is cosmic, you're not talking of day and night the way we know it's the Earth's day and night. No. Some these particular planes are so very far apart. But the case in which you are mentioning is Ephesus, of which the earth belongs. There are others, but our concern should be in the case of Ephesus, in which the human spirits that were permitted to incarnate from spirit germs, which spirit germs had been permitted in their capabilities or potential capabilities of the talents. These talents need to be developed to come to fruition. Only then will they stop to be spirit gems and become human personalities. Because in coming to recognition of their environment, they already take on human forms. When they then proceed further from just recognition of their environments and the forms which they have, they then become human beings because they have the human forms, and being, there's the continuity. If, however, the development had gone in a way which does not resonate with the laws of creation through which they first initially came in, then the likelihood is that they may lose their consciousness and revert back to spirit gems. Don't forget, after a harvest, there still need to be the separation of the husk from the real thing. And so these are all the processes which must be considered. But the time of harvest is now.
Thanks a lot, Gregory, for this answer and picture again you're showing to us. I've got many more questions to ask you about this. But before I continue, I want to let the listeners know you're listening to Bless Radio. This is the Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Uprushin. If you wish to know more about the Grail Message or want to get a copy of the Grail Message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that www.grail, Grail message, message.com. And the topic that we're discussing tonight is the cosmic clock is close to the hour of 12. The cosmic clock is close to the hour of 12. If you have any questions or comments, you can contact us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's another way you can contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting. That is blessradio1, that's the number one, .com. If you scroll down on the home page, you'll see a box called Bless Chat. There you can type in any questions or comments. And as I said, we are broadcasting on blessradio1, the number one.com. You can also listen to us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box. Bless Radio 1, again that's the number one, space, live stream. That's for the live show, which is on Tuesday evenings, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. You can also listen to the recording of this show on YouTube. Go to YouTube, that's the next day. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box, Bless Radio 1, again the number one there, space, Grail Message, space, the topic of the show, which is the cosmic clock is close to the hour of 12. Of course, you can also listen to the recordings of our previous shows, again on YouTube. Thirdly, we're broadcasting on Zeno, that's ZENO.FM/Bless Radio 1. Again, that's the number one there. Now, Gregory, we're talking this cosmic clock being close to the hour of 12. Basically, that's a representation of the harvest time that we're actually living in at this moment as we speak. That's what it represents. Harvest for the human beings, not plants. We're talking about us human beings here in this connotation. And really is to do with our spiritual development. And Greg, you also mentioned these are referred to in the Bible as well. And I guess, Gregory, also people think of it as maybe the end time. Is that right understanding, Gregory? And can you tell us more? What is this end time?
The end time is the same thing as the harvest time, because at the end of it, when you have proceeded on a journey, the experience you gather when you get at the end of the journey, again, is end of a journey. And you can only start harvesting when the time is ripe enough. Therefore, using the end time as the harvest time is also correct, because that's the period granted for the human spirit or for the human spirit germ to have grown to maturity, such that when the time comes, it's just like you have your crops. You plant them in the soil which we know, which is quite familiar to us. It's the same way that the human spirit gems are sown in the world of matter, because the world of matter is temporal. And if you look at here on earth, when you sow your crops, you don't allow, they don't stay there forever. All right, if it is an apple or it's wheat, there's a period in which you will have to harvest the wheat. After harvesting the wheat, at a particular end time, when you then harvest the wheat, you still have to clean out the husk that covers the wheat. All right, and there are some which of the seeds which were sown, which didn't grow at all. There are some that got to some extent and they have to fall by the wayside. All these things have to be taken into consideration. All right. Some had fallen before the harvest time, some had fallen at harvest time. And then when there's this harvest, then you still have to clean out. Some will become useless. Only the ones that have had persistent spiritual values, which values only mean that the talents which were sown have come to maturity and are of value in accordance with the laws that permitted these seed grains, these spirit seed grains, to have been planted, to have been sown. For only that has come to maturity and that is of value, finally, will be used. Others are of no use.
Thanks very much, Gregory, for this answer. And what I'm thinking, Gregory, we human beings, we are doing deeds, actions, and then this is the time of the harvest now to reap the results of our deeds, which some people think of it as a judgment. Sounds a bit harsh, the word judgment. Um, we talked just now, we mentioned the end time already. So this judgment, it looks like reaping what you have sown, isn't it? So is this the same, the judgment that people talk about, that we are living in this judgment time where we are reaping what we have sown?
First, one must have a more inclusive picture. What the personality has sown, which in accordance with the laws of creation, which laws even permitted it, granted it opportunity to even incarnate, will be one's intuitions, will be in that one's intuitions, there must have been different earth lives, many different stages of maturity. In the particular earth life or life in the beyond, because it continues, there will be the thoughts. Thoughts are also involved. And then the deeds. So these three different categories are considered. When the word judgment is used, many have a wrong picture. Of course, when you go to the farm and you need to reap your crops, you would not say reaping is judgmental, or is it expected that the crops should be in the farm forever then of what value would that be to you as the farmer? For the human personalities or the human spirit gems, of what value will it be to them if the time granted to them to mature, to grow, they haven't used it as such? A simple example again, we go to the arts and we go to music. The personality who senses deep within it the urge to conduct music or to compose music, that urge is there. And if he or she does not make any efforts to use the time granted to it, maybe one of the earth lives, and he does nothing, it means, therefore, it has come to waste his time. For it was that initial urge within the human spirit gems or the human spirit grains or the sparks that even drove it out from its initial place in paradise where it was unconscious. Only in the process of moving away, being sown in a lower region where movement is not as swift and fast, only there could it gradually come into consciousness and gradually in its maturing comes into self-consciousness. That means those innate capabilities are now a reality. The time and efforts and energies and the resources granted to it are gigantic. For these areas had to be prepared by helpers, the beings of nature, the substantial beings that resonate within the will of the Almighty, prepared all this here, even in the world of matter, such that that urge within the human spirit gem, which wishes to become self-conscious, that urge is realized, the opportunity is granted so that it will mature. And only when it has matured in accordance with this will, which in love had made all these things possible, only then will it be called a human being. That makes a whole world of difference. With the human being now, responsibilities can now be granted to it in reciprocal activity of now being permitted to enjoy the joys and happiness that has accrued to it because it's the human seed grain that has now matured to become a human being now is of value to creation. And it can also, in its life, be of help to others, just as others were of help to him. So it makes very simple common sense. It is not as difficult as many think. Only those who are too indolent to exert themselves spiritually, or in their thoughts, or in their deeds, only those will wish that they sleep on forever.
Thanks a lot, Gregory, for this. Again, the picture you have painted for us, giving this, how can I say, the foundation really of how we human beings are journeying in our life. Uh, every program we've mentioned the laws of creation or the laws of nature. So all that is happening is just a process of nature. How we came into being, how we continue to exist, and where we are going. The big thing for us is, a human being that is, we are making decisions, and that is directing our fate, which way we go. But the thing is, Gregory, somehow, although there is nature there, and you can observe life around us and so on, we seem to be, how can I say, not having this roadmap sort of written out in front of us. Is something of a discovery. It looks like a process of discovery. It's not like, you could say, if you look at animals, they naturally are almost automatically, straight away, the child, the baby animal, whatever it is, it knows exactly, very quickly it develops to its adulthood phase and just goes on with its life. Not too much education is required for the animal. With the human beings, yes, we go to school, not like an animal. We have our own schools for our, you could say, which is more to do with schooling to have it, for our getting a job, if I can say it this way, or even developing talents, because we do music. That's all in a way also that sort of process going on there. But this is still for the earthly part of life, Gregory, and yet we are meant, as we have pointed out, Gregory, we are spiritual beings, not just earthly beings. And this spiritual knowledge or understanding we seem to lack. You don't seem to learn that in school. I mean, there is the spiritual teachings or biblical teaching or whatever religious teachings that people are told or taught. Maybe it's less and less so nowadays, but even that teaching, it seems to be not, how can I say, easy to grasp or having clarity in it. It's people could call it theory or theory or some, I don't know what other word I can use right now. But it doesn't seem there's a feeling of reality sometimes. They're just, although it's common to most of the teachings say, do good, there's a life after death, and, do not harm others. So that is like a basic commonality for these teachings. But this process of life, just like we are talking about harvest, it's not like, it's too much, how can I say, belief or theory, like I'm making a point of theory, using the word theory. It's not like you see practical life, that yes, you plant some seed and it grows into the fruit and harvest, whatever the crop happens to be. That's clear cut. But for this spiritual life, it's not so, can I use the word real for us? So there's something lacking in our knowledge, if I can say, for this. So how are we, is it meant to be a way of discovering by ourselves, Gregory, and then without any sort of guidance?
Well, that's a very good question, which must be looked at very carefully. It must be stressed that the educational, so-called education systems we have now lack the necessary connections, because they have no idea, although this has been devised by people who only observe things externally. That which is spiritual, which is talked about, has to do with the personal intuitions of the individual. For a simple example, when you see a plant, you see what is above ground, but what is below the soil, many do not see it as such. And for most of the time, it's what the roots are able to draw from the environment, from the soil environment that they use to mature, to grow. For the human personality, what we see basically is the human body, which human body is only the tool. Behind what lies behind the human body, which is perceptible using the five senses, is something else. There is no gap. There is a model, as you have simple models which many people know. That's which acts like a cover. That's which helps to control the physical body. That which is connected to the physical body. It has many layers. It is of the soul. And the inner core of this soul is of spirit, the human spirit. Therefore, for the personality to have an impact on its activities, there must be a seamless communication, a seamless interaction between the inner core, which is of spirit, with the soul, which is the spirit that has many coverings. There must be that communication which is able to have an impact on the physical body, which many are able to recognize. Now, when you consider that that should be the case, there should be no gap for even the physical body, which is referred to, has tools which is supposed to help. Therefore, you have generally that when the spirit needs to communicate with the physical body, that goes through the so-called solar plexus. Then it hits the back brain. Pictures flow from the spiritual activities via the solar plexus to the back brain. There is a frontal brain which transforms these pictures which it has received to make it more earthly, such that they can make use of the impressions they have received, because these are impressions. That is how it has always been. There are some groups of people or individuals who, to a large extent, have in their activities kept these connections in such a way that they can use it. Most of the time, the artists belong to those groups. Therefore, you will find that that connection has always been there. It is how the human personality makes use of these connections vigorously or not vigorously. If from birth the personality, its education is directed first to train the body on how it needs to be able to receive these pictures and then interpret these pictures in to fit with the local surroundings, then you will have that there will be success again and again and again. And before long, the human personality, we know that it cannot do everything by itself. It needs to work with others who have different gifts. Then it becomes very clear it is one for all and all for one. This, strictly speaking, does not require any big school of itself. Why? Because the personality was born into a society, was born into a family. And therefore, it should know that it needs to be able to work with it. But therein lies the challenge. For when you have a family or a community or a society that places too much emphasis not on spiritual development or body control, but on external things like money and other things which are of no benefit to the spirit, and such schemes are replicated everywhere, then you have the scenario in which the spirit is unable to communicate its strong impression to the frontal brain and then being made earthly. Before long, such a spirit either complains or is tired, becomes indolent. For it's only what you use again and again that is strengthened. If you don't use something, before long you forget how to use it. Like with every language, when you speak your language, whatever language is a default language for you, and you use it again and again, then you become proficient in it. If, however, you don't, give yourself 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, then you find that you lose touch. For the human personality, by which one is referred to spiritual personality, unless it struggles, beseeches itself, makes the necessary efforts, vigorous efforts, to ensure the body is well controlled, to ensure that the frontal brain, to a large extent, is able to pick the strong impression and make use of it. If that doesn't happen, you find it goes back or it does not mature enough. And that has always been the problem. There are some who are able to pick directions in their sleep, and there are many of them who just do things which is fantastic, yet they cannot explain intellectually how they arrived at it. It's very common with the arts, it's common with music. Whereas with that, which is the intellect, in which you have to do a lot of analysis, you have to exert yourself again and again and again. You have observed things from the outside, and then you try to simulate what it must be spiritually. That is not what is expected. So it is the lack of balance that has precipitated this problem. And all those who replicate this lack of balance through education suffer the same fate. And since the so-called education of nowadays is a replication of ignorance, there are some who go to study history, there are some who go to study so many different things which is of no use. There are some who come as wrestlers, there are some who come as boxers, so that they are able to kill or they are able to maim their so-called opponent in the, they may call it sports. There are some who come and all they want to do is precipitate problem and fight wars. There are some who all they want to do is quarrel and quarrel. But ask yourself, of what benefit is that to the spirit? Nothing. Whereas what the spirit wishes to do is to develop the talents which have been sown within it. That is the longing. That is the urge that it needs to fulfill. So the educational system we have now is upside down, and the practice of it is also upside down and inside out. It doesn't lead, or rarely does it lead, to spiritual maturity.
Thanks a lot, Gregory, for this explanation you have given. It looks a very sad state of affairs. Even the word sad is not good enough, I would say. A terrible state of affairs for us human beings. We seem to be truly lost and with not much hope. But I have more questions to ask on this. But before I do that, I want to again let the listeners know that you're listening to Bless Radio, and this is the Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. And the aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Uprushing. If you wish to know more about the Grail Message or want to get a copy of the Grail Message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that, www.grail, Grail, message, message.com. And the topic that we're discussing tonight is the cosmic clock is close to the hour of 12. The cosmic clock is close to the hour of 12. If you have any questions or comments, you can contact us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's one other way you can contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting, That is www.blessradio1, the number one.com. If you scroll down on the homepage, you'll see a chat box called Bless Chat. There you can type in any questions or comments. As I've mentioned, we are broadcasting on Bless Radio 1, the number one.com. You can also listen to us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, the number one again, space, live stream. That's for the live show, which is on Tuesday evenings, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. You can listen to the recording of this show also on YouTube the next day. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, again the number one there, space, Grail Message, space, the topic of the show, which tonight is the cosmic clock is close to the hour of 12. And of course, you can listen to the recordings of our previous shows also on YouTube. Thirdly, we are broadcasting on Zeno, that's ZENO.FM/Bless Radio 1. Again, that's the number one there. Now, Gregory, we've been talking about this spiritual life journey of human beings. And unfortunately, we're realizing this earthly educational system. It may be good for, let's say, raising up in our career, for a particular job or such, but it's not helpful for our spiritual development, which is at least as important, if not more important, really, for our life. However, as you've pointed out, that we are not really getting to know about that, and which is very, very troublesome, for us. Now, what I want to check something, Gregory, to clarify right now, there are these religious teachings, and then we are always referring to spiritual development. Is there any, how can I say, connection or benefit from the religious teachings that are out there? There are many. Or are we meant to, you could say, put them to the side and just think and, have our own independent mind and, develop ourselves in that way? So just want to get clarity on that, because that is a lot of background for some certain groups of people, that they are brought up in a particular belief, or teaching. And you could almost say indoctrinated into these teachings. And then when they become adults, or maybe after than that, they think, oh, no, this is not what I want. This is just some my parents brought me up like this. But and then they abandon this. And so my question is there, Gregory, are these religious teachings that we are brought up with, those some of us are brought up with, or maybe we come across, are they of any benefit for our spiritual growth and development?
There's so much noise in the background.
Oh, apologies. Okay. Did you hear my question?
Yes, I did.
Okay. I'm going to go silent on the microphone.
Thank you. There are so many so-called religious teachings. And there are as many religious teachings as there are human personalities on earth. as it pertains to how many see these things. If any of these so-called religious teachings, if any aspect of it resonates with the laws of creation through which these spirit personalities came into existence, if they resonate, then it's of benefit. It means, therefore, whilst here on earth, they benefit. When they now depart from the earth, they still benefit. If, however, these teachings do not resonate with these laws, then of what use are they? When one religion will tell you that the other person is an enemy, kill him, that you are superior to others, and therefore you should not interact with them, or that others should be slaves to you. Each personality must examine that which has been passed on to them. For if you do not examine that which has been passed on to you, how would you then know that it doesn't contain poison? For in the final analysis, the individual that has come to adulthood must examine. That is what life is about. Not to accept things without examining. It's in the process of examination that the human personality matures. So if the person does not examine, no maturity comes in because it's more like a robot. Such a personality cannot grow in conviction because conviction comes through inflexible weighing. Inflexible weighing and examining. You have to examine. Isn't that what a school is meant for? The school is not meant to be a place where you accept facts without weighing them. If you go to the arts, for in music, would you accept a piece of music that contains so many contradictions and so many distortions? It doesn't resonate. You end up having headache, and you won't listen to it a second time. But the music that flows, that helps you draw strength, of course you listen to it. So all activities must be examined. The deeds, the thoughts, and one's intuitions must be examined. Not examined in an arbitrary manner, but examined in accordance with the simple laws of creation. If there are so-called religious bodies who hold that principle, then it is right. For you will find that the personality is not on earth forever. It's only for a temporary period. It be a year, could be 10 years, could be 100 years, could be 200, could be even like Methuselah, but it's still temporary. So it's not only what the person experiences here that leads it, but also how he came about that experience, how he responded to the challenges in deeds, in thoughts, and in one's intuition. Only when there's that dynamic interchange only then would one find happiness, because he or she has been personally involved in this dynamic interchange. If, however, the personality only holds on to very narrow views and uses that to decimate others, then that personality must realize that he or she has violated the laws of creation. Why? Because had others meted out to the personality what he or she now missed out on, that opportunity would not have existed for him to mature. Creation gives the opportunity to all who have incarnated to grow, just as creation has granted the opportunity for this personality to grow, so are others. It doesn't take rocket science to know that one for all and all for one is the basis for any harmony. There shouldn't be any one-sidedness. Should there be an one-sidedness, it means the personality hasn't matured to that extent to know that there should be no idle hands or idle souls or idle thoughts. So some of these may be taught in schools if they themselves know. For what many refer to as spiritual when schools are concerned, they consider something so remote and far away. They don't even consider it as reality. What they consider as reality, first, is their physical body, because that's what they're able to perceive with their five senses. Yet, everyone who has attained maturity will agree that they have thoughts. The consequences of the thoughts are not considered. It is left for religious or for philosophers to argue about. Many don't even investigate. Many don't even understand about anything about the spirit. Don't even agree that they are of spirit. That is left for philosophers to argue about. And people can write different treatises on whether there is spirit or no spirit, whether there is soul or no soul. Yet the inner core of the human personality is of spirit. So one can see how people deny themselves. And even in that denial, they try to replicate such denial as being advancement in the universities. You can only wish everybody well.
Thanks very much, Gregory, again for providing this explanation. What an answer really of what we human beings are meant to be. Now, what I want to do right now, Gregory, are just listeners. I want to read something from the Bible. Because we want to understand. We sort of have an idea already where human beings have gone astray, you can say, in their development. We are meant to be spiritual beings, but somehow we got to which we have sort of lost our way in finding out about what that means and how we are meant to be. So, and I thought, let's look at the origin of how this happened to us human beings. Now, there's a story in the Bible, in Genesis, about, well, it's right at the beginning when man was created, in the Adam and Eve story, you can say, in the Garden of Eden. So I'd like to, there's a couple of places I'm going to read from. This one right now is from Genesis chapter 2, verses 15. I think it's, let me just make sure before I go any further. To 17, let's call it that here. The Lord God took the man, and this is Adam now, and put him in the Garden of Eden to work it and take care of it. And the Lord God commanded the man, "You are free to eat from any tree in the garden, but you must not eat from the tree of tree of knowledge of good and evil. For when you eat from it, you will certainly die." I think I'm going to read one extra verse. It says, "The Lord God said, it is not good for the man to be alone. I will make a helper suitable for him." So this is really about Adam and Eve, but well, not about Adam and Eve as such, but it's, you could say, the task God has commanded man in his activities, you can say. So I'll just read that again. This is from Genesis 2, Genesis 2, verse 15 to 18. The Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to work it and take care of it. And the Lord God commanded the man, "You are free to eat from any tree in the garden, but you must not eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. For when you eat from it, you will certainly die." The Lord God said, "It is not good for the man to be alone. I will make a helper suitable for him." Now, I want to jump a little bit. By the way, this helper here is referring to Eve, the woman. So that's what, so that is, as I say, the beginning of mankind story here. And Adam and Eve are put into a Garden of Eden. Okay, now, and they've been warned not to eat from this tree of knowledge of good and evil. But then we continue in Genesis 3, chapter, it's the beginning, in fact, the first few verses. And it talks about Lucifer. Here it is referred to as the servant. So this is Genesis chapter 3, and is titled The Fall. "Now the serpent was more crafty than any of the wild animals the Lord God had made. He said to the woman," which is in case Eve here, "Did God really say, 'You must not eat from any tree in the garden'?" The woman said to the serpent, "We may eat fruit from the trees in the garden. But God did say, 'You must not eat from the fruit of the tree that's in the middle of the garden, and you must not touch it, or you will die.'" "You will certainly not die," the serpent said to the woman, "for God knows that when you eat from it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil." I'm not going to continue any further, and we know, many of us would know this story, because in the end, Eve did take that fruit from that forbidden tree, and he also gave it to Adam to eat as well. So this story, Gregory, this story, it's really more of, how can I say, a metaphorical story rather than literal story, but it represents some, let's say, the activity of human beings. That's what I want to explore. You know, yes, it talks about Adam and Eve as if they're just two individuals involved, but these really stories are more about humanity rather than that. So, you know, and it is titled The Fall or Fall of Man, actually, is the better way to put it. So, what I want to ask on this, Gregory, there we have had a brief sort of direction. In that story, we have been given what is the direction for man, human beings, what they are supposed to do, which is the work in this Garden of Eden, and to eat of the fruit there, but not of a one particular tree, which is the tree of knowledge, which is of good and evil. Um, Now, when you look at that story, Gregory, just from the, let's say, outwardly, you would say, what is wrong with eating from this? Although it's been warned, if you do eat from the tree of good and evil, you will die. But uh, but just looking outwardly or objectively, one would say, well, if you know about good and evil, that's not a bad thing. That's is good thing. Uh, so, what is meant in this story, Gregory, of not to what is this tree of knowledge of good and evil represent? What is this story about, really? That's what I'm asking.
Again, thanks for bringing up some of this, which has been passed down to many, with the biggest challenge is that it's passed down but never examined in accordance with the creative laws of nature. And once the laws of nature come in, many a part which does not resonate are thrown away. And by the end of it, very little is left. There is the talk of Adam. Adam came first, then the Lord Almighty in his perfection now says, oh, you need a partner. And Eve then came. You will find that these stories, although they have some imports, they are not consistent when looked into using the laws of creation. They are so inconsistent that many times they do not convey any meaning to any real seeker. Because rightly so, when it is questioned, you find those who pass on these stories never understood them. And these have been bits and pieces which have been put together without an understanding. And it is the understanding that makes it meaningful. From what you yourself have read, no one in their right senses will ever accept that that makes any real meaning which is of benefit to the spirit. Adam only is taken to represent the male, whereas Eve is taken to represent the female. Again, Lucifer is brought in. What is considered is that when man was created, it was a long process of evolution. And what has been written has not taken into account this long process. First, in the spiritual sense, before one comes to the animistic sense, before here in the world of matter. You might ask, where did that take place? Is it back home in paradise of man or here in the world of matter? Therefore, most of these writings because they have never been subjected to the laws of creation. The scenarios which have been put together are disjoint and you can't make any sense of them. Therefore, one may suggest that to be able to make any sense with any religious writing, that writing must be subjected to these same laws of creation through which they, these personalities, came into existence. Only from that standpoint is one able to make sense of all that one has read. The tree of knowledge. What do they understand by the tree of knowledge? Because they lack the understanding, of course, they must take everything in a very literal sense. That's which is referred to when the fall of man is discussed, is that imbalance which is being referred to when one talked about that which is spiritual from that which is not spiritual. To bring it to a closer context, closer to man, must be that which is spiritual, which is passed on, the impressions of the spiritual, which is passed on via the solar plexus and passed on to the back brain. And that which is non-spiritual, in which the frontal brain, in its vibration, is supposed to take those impressions and interpret them so as to bring benefits to the earth. And in itself is supposed to gather the external experiences and pass them back on to the back brain and also via the solar plexus back to the spirit. Only that will be of benefit to the spirit, because the spirit itself is not earthly. It transcends that which is earthly. It lives on. But it needs these experiences to be able to make progress. And therefore, if these experiences are not passed on to it so that it's able to grow, it's unable to mature before the end time. The death which is referred to in that particular case is the spiritual death which comes at the end times, not the earthly death. For unless from a spiritual perspective, all religious writings are examined, which from a spiritual perspective, it has to do with the laws of the spirit, the divine laws or the laws of creation, then there will be complete lack of understanding. For expressions which have been used many times in these ancient writings or biblical writings, whatever other names they are called, these expressions must be examined from a spiritual standpoint. Only then can one build a picture which is consistent. Else, questions such as the ones you just asked will remain. In order to assist the human personality, to proceed on a spiritual path, to be able to examine all these writings, the work, which work explains, clarifies what light is. And he also explains and clarifies and defines what truth is now made available, such that for any discerning personality, they are able to come to a better picture, a picture which is consistent, such that that work which refers to Adam and Eve, many will now see Adam to represent the male and Eve to represent the female. And where the problem has grown or has taken root is that particular scenario where the communication between the frontal brain and the back brain has been severely compromised. It also happens, one can say, that which is active, the frontal, and that which is passive, the back brain, that which is passive, the woman, and that which is active, the man, they need to work together. Here it falls back, one for all and all for one. That is how it goes. Only when there is harmony, only then can they win through. So the man cannot go on his own and say, I know it all. Neither can the woman. But in coming together and in exchanging their impressions, the realization becomes easy. If, however, that is not done, then one may ask, why is that so? And that comes to the realization that Lucifer himself was once permitted to guide the human personality to know how to use the frontal brain. If, however, the person or the personality who is supposed to be taught on how to use things is so very lazy, then you can now imagine what the results will be. For Lucifer, in observing man, understanding the swiftness of events back in paradise, and looking at the human personalities, how they were sauntering, doing nothing, not making use of their back brain and intuitive impressions. Well, what happens? That lack of balance will definitely precipitate so much in which impressions do not go from the spirit to the physical body, neither from the physical body back to the spirit. Therein lies the fall of man. It has been compromised. But Lucifer himself did not need to exert himself so much. A simple suggestion Just like you have indolent people want an easy way out. They never wish to exert themselves. They just want to sit somewhere, a solution occurs. Even when the solution is shown, they won't even follow it. They will want some other person to come and do the work. That has always been. All what one has referred to is only a fraction. For some who are very diligent, they need to go to the source, which is the work itself, the work in the light of truth, the message itself. It is from that framework that the laws of nature, the laws of creation, the spiritual laws or the divine laws, it is from that perspective that the personality must examine rigorously to come to understanding.
Thanks very much, Gregory, for this. Again, the picture you're painting for us. It just shows how much effort is needed, really, to grasp these, well, from the scriptures, what the real meaning is. It's like a very summarized story, but unless you have really the spiritual concepts clearly in your mind's eye, you're not going to follow the story. It's just like an impossible thing. And as you already pointed out, some of these stories are very illogical in their what they're saying. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. It's just like lack of detail given there, and most likely will misunderstand what is being said. Even the language used is, how can I say, it's not clear. When you talk in logical sense, oh, there's a tree of good and evil, you know. Obviously, there's no such tree like that, but there's a picture behind that, you know. And then there's a mention of the serpent, which of course is not a serpent who can talk to a human. It's Lucifer. So all these are really picture stories, which you, let's say, tell children, and then children sort of enjoy listening to it, you know. And that's how we have to take it, that these are simple expressions being used to express, you know, a concept of what is really this story is about. So, and for that, as you said, Gregory, we really need the Grail message in the light of truth by Abdushin to give the real detailed understanding, necessary understanding to really follow these stories. And because it's not about, oh, something so great Grail message is in that way, is something that is in the knowledge that is given in the Grail message, which gives you the full conceptions of what these stories are talking about. So what I can say is you can never stop learning. You must keep growing. And so if you're thinking, oh, I have got already some understanding, no, that's not true. You always must be growing in your understanding. You can't stand still. So always be open to receive new things. And the Grail message gives that opportunity for everyone to realize, to see that and grasp that. So thank you for that, Gregory. Now, Gregory, let's look at we are saying. The topic is the cosmic clock is close to the hour of 12, and we are living in it now. That's what we say. This time is here. And what I'm wondering, Gregory, we talked about already the judgment, which sounds like very harsh or severe thing. Um, but it's really an opportunity to grow spiritually and awaken spiritually. So, what I want to ask Gregory, are we given a time limit to, um, how can I say, to come out of our, to awaken spiritually, let's say, and what sort of time limit is that, and what happens if we, do not achieve, become awakened, and follow the route? What is our goal of as a spirit? Gregory, I don't know if you heard me. Oh, you're on mute, Gregory. You're on mute. Okay, you're still on mute.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't hear anything. I was saying I didn't
Oh, you
hear.
didn't hear?
No.
Okay. Okay, I'll repeat it. Okay, what I'm saying, Gregory, basically, this is a time we're talking about the cosmic clock being close to the hour of 12, and we're living in it now as human beings. And it's meant to be a time of awakening, spiritual awakening. So, how much time, Gregory, we say we are living in it now? How much time have we got to awaken spiritually? And what happens if, you know, or maybe I should just say, how how can we do that? How can we awaken spiritually that we can become, uh, you know, do we? Yeah, how do we awaken spiritually? Basically, in this, how much time have we got to awaken spiritually?
Well, the expression "how much time" um, will only make sense when it is interpreted from a spiritual standpoint of view. From the perspective of the spirit, that is what makes sense. Therefore, what maybe the first question should be, how should the spirit proceed to awake spiritually? The spirit can only awake spiritually when deep within itself it makes the effort to interpret all the challenges that approach it in deeds, in thoughts, and in its intuition. If it makes the necessary efforts in these three areas to interpret these challenges in accordance with the laws of creation, that effort alone shakes it to its depths, not only externally, because once the intuitions are involved, then it touches it. So it means all superficiality is completely eliminated. Once superficiality falls away, then pride and the so-called prejudice will fall off because it is examining, it's exerting itself not only in deeds, but also in thoughts and also in its intuition, in reciprocal activities. When one examines or has that good thought of examining spiritually, the paths will be opened to it, or the person's path will be so well guided that the necessary experiences will come, which will become of benefit to it. But mark you, that which is of benefit may not be pleasurable because the personality is confronted with the reciprocal activities of what it's doing now on what it has done in the past. These reciprocal activities surely will emerge. For initially, the human spirit has been asleep. So, smugly, it has no challenge. But now, in the process of trying to awaken, it finds so many challenges. As soon as it takes up these challenges boldly, filled with a good volition, in reciprocal effect, help, help which has been woven into creation, will approach it and in a step by step, sometimes simultaneously, he or she is shown further ways to proceed to avoid catastrophes. Not only earthly catastrophes or catastrophes in thoughts, but also catastrophes in spirit. That has been woven into creation. The sad thing is that when the human personality wishes that which is good and it encounters challenges, many easily give up and say, no, let me go back to the way I was. There, I had no problem. But now I'm trying to be good and I have all these challenges. So I must be doing something wrong. That is the nature of the personality nowadays. Therefore, to answer your question, he or she who wishes or who strives for that which is good, good in accordance to the creation laws, that personality must be persistent, must be patient, must have that everlasting love in his or her heart. Only in such a scenario will the person, through its activities in the different parts, overcome the challenges. Then, and only then, will it say it is free at last. That expression, free at last, only occurred to some who, in their journeys, were able to perceive to a very narrow extent what it means to be free at last. Free at last from the slavery of the intellect. Only when one's intuitions are able to be received by the intellect and the intellect acting accordingly such that the physical body is able to implement the direction shown to it, then and only then is it in accordance with the will of the Almighty. Then and only then, all that swings in accordance with the will of the Almighty becomes free. For only he or she who resonates or swings within the will of the Almighty by following the impression being passed down is free. Else, that individual will have created threads, which threads will hold it down and becomes a slave dependent on the narrow views which prevail nowadays.
Thanks a lot, Gregory, for this, you know, answer. And I want to let everybody know, listeners, we've now come to the end of our show for tonight on the topic of the cosmic clock is close to the hour of 12. I hope you've enjoyed the discussion, and I'd like to end the show by reading from the Grail Message the foreword, which is titled For Your Guidance. The bandage falls, and belief becomes conviction. Liberation and redemption lie only in conviction. I am addressing earnest seekers only. They must be able and willing to examine this matter objectively. Religious fanatics and irresponsible enthusiasts may hold aloof, or they are detrimental to the truth. As for the malevolent and prejudiced, they shall find their sentence in the very words. The message will strike only those who still carry within them a spark of truth and the yearning to be true human beings. To all such, it will become the shining light and star. It will lead them unswervingly out of all the chaos of the present day confusion. The following word does not bring a new religion, but is intended as the torch to help all serious listeners or readers find the right path, which leads them to the longed for height. Only he who bestirs himself can advance spiritually. The fool who uses extraneous aids for this, in the form of ready-made opinions of others, only walks his path as if on crutches, while ignoring his own healthy limbs. But the moment he boldly uses all the abilities which lie dormant within him, awaiting his call to help in his ascent, he is employing the talent entrusted to him in accordance with his Creator's will, and will easily overcome all obstacles that seek to divert him. Therefore awake. Genuine faith lies only in conviction, and conviction comes solely through an inflexible weighing and examining. See that you're truly alive in the wonderful creation of your God. Aprushin. Dear listeners, if you want to get a copy of the Grail Message for yourself, or want more information about the Grail Message, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that, www.grail, G-R-A-I-L, message, MESSAGE.com. Gregory, is there anything you'd like to say to the listeners to say goodbye?
Wishing listeners a beautiful week.
Thanks. Same from me, listeners. Have a beautiful week. We'll be back as usual next Tuesday, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time with another topic. All the best. Good night and God bless.